Tonight, policing the police. A civilian-led oversight body is finally operational in Saskatchewan.
Wines it again. Bedard talks right in the
Regina Pats star Connor Bedard smashes the Canadian World Juniors record. Plus,
it can be a very intimidating atmosphere, and it's a very, personal procedure.
Making their mark. How Saskatchewan women and non-binary people are transforming the local tattoo industry.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, January 3rd, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. The power to investigate police in our province is now held by a civilian-led independent body. All other Western provinces already have this kind of oversight, and Saskatchewan's been under pressure for years to create a watchdog unit. This week, the provincial government officially launched the Serious Incident Response Team. Adam Hunter reports.
Saskatchewan is lagged behind its neighbors in Alberta and Manitoba and even BC when it comes to police investigating police. But now its Serious Incident Response Team is operational. It's led by a civilian who oversees 4 former police officers who will be on the ground when necessary. The civilian is Greg Goodlow.
I don't think it's an exaggeration to describe it as across the board support. I think the public stakeholders from the law enforcement community, from other community groups, have just been universally supportive of the idea of having an independent view of these incidents.
CERT will investigate serious incidents involving Saskatchewan RCMP, municipal forces, and special constables, including conservation officers and members of Highway Patrol. A serious incident could include serious injury or death in police custody, or as a result of police officers' actions, as well as allegations of sexual assault or domestic violence by an officer. While the team is now fully operational, it started looking into cases in April, and in September, it was called in to look into the in-custody death of accused killer Miles Sanderson, who died in RCMP custody.
The need's been demonstrated across Canada. I think, if anything, the year that we've had here in Saskatchewan has demonstrated the need right here at home. The fact that we're able to roll this unit out now is timely, and I think it's also given us the opportunity to build on some of the lessons learned in other provinces.
The opposition has been urging the government to get CERT off the ground.
The fact that we're one of the last provinces in Canada to enact this alone states why the need is so desperate. And the request has been dated back decades now at this point. I was recently reading the Stone Child inquiry, and that's one of the recommendations that came out of that, and that report came out 15 years ago.
CERT's director says not all incidents will require a full investigation. By law, it's required to publish summaries of its investigations online. Adam Hunter, CBC News, Regina.
Several investigations have been launched into the death of a young man inside a Montreal jail. Sources tell CBC the 21-year-old was wearing a spit hood, a restraining device placed over a detainee's head to prevent biting or spitting. Correctional officers pepper sprayed him before he died of his injuries. But as Sarah Levitt reports, he should have been released the day before the incident.
Watch me stomping with my feet. Watch me stomping.
21-year-old Nikios Dondre Spring was just getting his rap career started. Friends remember his warmth and kindness.
Nikios is a gentle giant. He's physically this big teddy bear and just very loving and caring.
But a tragic chain of events began that would claim Spring's life. Arrested on December 20th for allegedly assaulting a police officer, officials say he should have been out on bail, but he was never released. During an alleged altercation with correctional officers, he was hooded with a spit mask and pepper sprayed. He lost consciousness and died in hospital on Christmas Day.
It's tragic.
Hennessy knew Spring since he was 13 and active with a local community group. Now Spring's family is struggling.
And you hear all these possibilities of what happened, which leaves a lot of questions. These things, when they go this far and this deep, they can't be undone.
The Public Security Ministry suspended an officer and a prison manager. Provincial police are looking into potential criminal misconduct. The coroner is looking into cause of death, in addition to other investigations. Nobody involved in those investigations, including the prison, would comment.
If you know the history of the spit mask, then you know what it does to people of our color.
Get on the ground.
Recently, police use of spit masks in the U.S. came under scrutiny after a death in 2020 in New York.
In Quebec, unfortunately, there's not a specific procedure, and every police force or every agency or has their own way of using it.
In its most recent annual report, the province's ombudsman called out detention centers and the use of pepper spray. The mandatory steps on the employment of inflammatory agents are not always respected. On Friday, friends and family gathered to remember Spring, demanding justice for a life cut short. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
What's next for a Saskatoon woman accused of abducting her child and faking their deaths will be decided by a judge, not a jury. Dawn Walker's lawyer appeared in a Saskatoon courtroom by phone this morning. She said Walker elects trial by judge alone and waived her rights to a jury trial and a preliminary hearing. Walker and her child disappeared in August, prompting an extensive search. The pair was found and arrested days later in Oregon. Walker is facing various charges, including abduction, fraud, and identity theft. She's expected to enter a plea during her next court appearance on Thursday. Some air travelers left stranded by Sunwing Airlines say they're eager to sign on to a class action lawsuit. Airlines were hit by multiple snowstorms before Christmas and canceled flights right across the country. Then, Sunwing announced it wouldn't fly in or out of Saskatchewan until early February. Passengers we spoke to at the airport say they're staying in touch with fellow travelers so they can pursue legal action. Regina lawyer Tony Merchant says people have been contacting his law firm's offices in Saskatchewan and across the country with their complaints. Merchant says he believes there's plenty of evidence to justify a lawsuit.
Their systems got behind and they can justify problems with bad weather on that day or the next day, but they can't justify that 4, 5, and 6 days later. And they stretched themselves too far in the first place and then tried to justify that and blame it on weather issues. We think we could be successful with a class action.
Merchant says it is misrepresentation to tell passengers day after day they'll get home on a flight home, only to wait almost a week. Meanwhile, the Regina Airport Authority is expressing some sympathy and support for Sunwing.
Unfortunately, this is the fallout of a last couple of years. This isn't a simple, oh, things just went wrong for a week or two and suddenly they aren't able to keep up. We have a massive pilot shortage all across North America, around the world. That's a big part of why this is happening, is because airlines don't have the additional capacity because they don't have the pilots. We ultimately want Sunwing to be successful. People here should want Sunwing to be successful so that it gives them more opportunities to fly in the future.
Sunwing hasn't explained why it chose to stop flights to Saskatchewan while continuing service to other Canadian destinations. The Regina Airport Authority says it's likely because we're a smaller centre. Canada is off to the semi-finals at the World Junior Hockey Tournament after a dramatic 4-3 overtime win against Slovakia. As Kate McKenna reports, Regina Pats phenom Connor Bedard played a pivotal role with a record-setting performance.
Slides in again. Bedard talks right in the
It was a fairy tale ending for a historic night. 17-year-old Connor Bedard smashed multiple records and scored the winning goal in overtime.
I've gone to the games and I've just seen him and he's been unreal. And we just think he's the next coming of Jesus.
I think he's very slick and he's also very humble about it. I think he really appreciates all the support.
In this game against Slovakia, he broke multiple records, including one held by Hall of Famer Eric Lindros.
Breaking in front, they score! Lindros!
For 30 years, Lindros has held the record of all-time Canadian points at the World Juniors. Now, that honor belongs to Bedard. Lindros says he's happy to pass the torch. In a tweet before the game, he wrote, "Happy New Year. Don't just break the record, Connor Bedard. Smash it. Win the tournament. Go Canada." Bedard broke 2 other records, too. He's now the all-time goal leader, and he now holds the record for most points scored in a single tournament.
He's doing things
at 17 that these players did at older ages. They were doing it at 18. So it's phenomenal from that perspective, just to kind of watch history in the making.
The budding superstar is projected to be the first pick in next year's NHL draft. Vancouver-born, he plays for the Regina Pats. And though he's only getting started, he's got a lot of fans.
He's generational. He's got pretty much everything you're looking for in a superstar.
Lucky, I guess, that it's happening at the same time as I'm being able to watch, and I'll remember it for a long time.
And Connor Bedard could break more records in this tournament yet. Today, Team Canada players are on the ice practicing for tomorrow's game against Team USA. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Halifax.
A 77-year-old woman was taken to hospital with injuries this morning after a four-vehicle crash in Regina. It happened here at the intersection of Leuven Drive and Dewdney Avenue just after 10:30 this morning. Police did not say how seriously the woman was hurt or if any charges will be involved. The woman was traveling in the tan Chrysler that was hit by the black Chevy truck while she was turning east onto Dewdney Avenue from Leuven. The truck then collided with two other stopped vehicles. Traffic in the area was rerouted around the scene for a couple of hours while officers investigated and cleared the intersection. Well, for the first week of January, it feels a bit like we're being spoiled. Maybe it was all that cold and snow over the holidays. Another nice day of sunshine in Saskatoon and right across the province today. As we get ready for teachers and students to head back to school, what kind of weather will they have for the rest of the week? Ethan will let you know in his forecast after the break. Welcome back. Tattooing has often been described as an old boys club, an exclusive industry dominated by men. But there's a shift afoot as female and non-binary shop owners and artists work to create safe spaces for all involved.
You should be able to walk in and feel welcomed and know that you are in safe hands. It's just like, are you comfortable? Like, what are your pronouns? Like, how can I make sure that you are like feeling safe in this space? I'm Penny Payne. I own the studio here, Painfully Pretty Tattoos. I've been tattooing for about 7 years now. The studio has been open in our space on Broadway for the last year or so. So where I started was definitely more like grungy and dark, and it felt a lot more intimidating. Whereas here I find that we get a lot of like repeat customers, and they come back telling us how much more comfortable they feel and that they feel like more respected, and that they don't feel like they're in any kind of like danger of being like harassed or like called out or made fun of for anything, which is really nice that people can feel comfortable, because with tattooing it's obviously such a vulnerable position that you're putting yourself in.
You want to feel wanted in the space. You don't want to feel objectified. You don't want to feel judged. My name is Haley Gardner. I am the owner and a resident artist at Honeybee Tattoo Collective. We are a newer tattoo studio. We opened up in June 2020, right after the pandemic. And just kind of generally base our values in creating a safe, comfortable space. We're just focused on offering unbiased services and artwork, and you shouldn't feel singled out or discriminated because of your physical appearance or orientation.
It is such an easy territory for someone that is a predator, I guess, to be in, because you do have people in this vulnerable situation, and it is usually like such an intimidating environment that people don't feel the confidence to speak out and say that this isn't cool. It's nice to see that our side of things is kind of growing more and making more of an impact, and yeah, hopefully it keeps going.
And you know, I understand that a lot of traditional shops might not necessarily agree with or respect what I've created, but ultimately it's not for them, and it's your responsibility to, you know, to make this industry for everybody. Like we're past gatekeeping, we're past discrimination, to not only see the success that this shop has had, but to see, you know, the changes that other people in the industry are making as well. Like it's super encouraging and very inspiring.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. 22 model clear out is on now.
And our CBC weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. With this nice weather, the snowplows are finally getting a chance to clear those streets.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, in our two biggest cities, that's a pretty big job. And in Regina, there's more than 500 kilometers of residential streets to plow. That plowing began today and runs until January 16th. If you're in Saskatoon, where about 34 centimeters of snow fell in the span of just 3 days last week, grading and plowing has already started. Residential streets there scheduled to be completed Thursday, but the city warns that there are already delays. And one of the reasons is this: cars being left parked on streets. Both cities say you should watch for signs in your neighborhood or go online to see when your neighborhood is scheduled for plowing and grading. And all that snow that you got in Saskatoon actually made for a pretty much on average a normal snowfall amount in December of this last year. But in places like Regina and North Battleford, you are below normal for the month of December. Estevan Swift Current, usually a little on the drier side, especially this past year, actually saw more than your average moisture for the month of December. Now, in terms of temperatures, all of us reporting colder than normal December. Key Lake coming in with the coldest at over 6 degrees below what it should be, and then progressively getting a bit warmer from there. But even Yorkton close to 4 degrees below normal last month. Now, right now, temperatures have evened out a little bit. We're sitting right about where we should be this time of year. Save for southeastern Saskatchewan, a little bit colder in that part of the province, but as you move your way south and west, quite warm again in southwestern Saskatchewan, and a little colder again up toward the northern grain belt. Lloydminster, Prince Albert sitting in the mid-minus teens right now, and this is the reason why it's a little bit colder. We have high pressure hanging on in southeastern Saskatchewan, but it is blocking out this low pressure, which is bringing some snow to portions of Minnesota and Wisconsin, and some messy conditions heading eastward into Ontario. Some mixed precipitation and some freezing rain on the 25th anniversary, by the way, of the ice storm that hit in 1998 there, but doesn't look like it's going to be that bad in that part of the country. For us, though, we are just expecting a little bit of some cloud cover tonight in the far north, maybe a little bit of some flurries, but rest of us going to be mostly clear, save for, again, a possibility of some fog overnight tonight and into tomorrow. But as you can see, next couple of days, really not much to talk about on satellite and radar. In terms of the fog, it might be dropping visibility, specifically in southwestern Saskatchewan tonight, so watch for that if you're heading out on highways. A little chilly in southeastern Saskatchewan, wind chills dropping into the mid to upper minus 20s. Frostbite could be possible in a few minutes, so careful if you are venturing out. Wind gusts picking up a little bit tonight in southwestern Saskatchewan. Temperatures warmer there, though, close to minus 10, so wind chills won't be all that bad. Eastward, though, we're not expecting much wind, and really with not much happening at the surface level, winds are not going to be an issue for us over these next few days. Regina will be seeing a mix of sun and cloud actually almost every day on the 7-day forecast, as you see here, except for Tuesday. Temperature is going to take a bit of a dive as we head to the end of the week, but heading through the weekend and into next week, things will warm up. Overnight lows getting very close, and even on Tuesday, they're getting actually above minus 10. So we will see a very nice above average overnight conditions. Saskatoon, a little bit more varied in terms of your sky conditions. We'll see mostly clear conditions tomorrow. Again, a little bit cooler through the weekend into the minus double digits, but then that warm-up begins. Cloud cover going to start to build in, but your overnight temperatures looking quite nice. And Sam, that means that for those in the south of the province, seeing that ice caked on cars, we are going to finally, I think, see that maybe start to melt a little bit.
I broke a nail trying to get into my gas what it's called, the door. I couldn't get it open.
Yes.
I made myself sound really not smart there, but I look forward to the melting.
I'll just leave it there.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
A new installation in downtown Saskatoon will light up the night all year round. These fiberglass mesh light orbs have been placed in the back alley south of 21st Street East between 2nd and 3rd Avenue South. The lights can be programmed to shine in different ways and were put up to improve the city center's back alleys to make them safer, brighter, and more inviting. It came together through a partnership between downtown Saskatoon and local business and property owners. We'll be back after the break. There was a frightening and tragic incident during last night's NFL game between the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals. Bills safety Damar Hamlin suffered cardiac arrest and collapsed on the field early in the game, now in critical condition in the hospital. Lisa Shing has more.
Higgins wide open to midfield and lowers the shoulder for 13.
A seemingly routine tackle ending a game in a way no one expected.
He got up, took a couple of steps, and then just fell to the ground.
Buffalo Bills defensive back Damar Hamlin collapsed during the NFL's Monday night game. The Bills say he suffered a cardiac arrest just after making a tackle. He was taken to a Cincinnati hospital where he was in critical condition.
I'd never seen it in football. I've never seen that.
Neither had fans at the game. Players, coaches visibly distressed. A rare sight in a game that's long been criticized for being too violent. This longtime Bills fan had just one thought.
Football didn't matter. The game didn't matter. What the Buffalo Bills are doing right now, as a season didn't matter. All that mattered was, the health of Damar Hamlin.
His family released a statement today saying it's deeply moved by the prayers, kind words, and donations from fans around the country, thanking the Bills and Bengals and asking fans to please keep Damar in your prayers.
It was awful to see.
As Hamlin received CPR on the field, this doctor says the minutes following a cardiac arrest are critical.
And the quality of that CPR, the rapidity by which you are able to activate services are key. But, I'm hopeful because, again, that first step is getting the heart rhythm back to its normal rhythm.
The pads go on in certain positions.
Every team needs an emergency plan, according to this athletic therapist who trains his team to respond to incidents on the field.
They would have a well-practiced emergency action plan. They would have an AED readily available. Everyone would know their role prior to an incident like this happening.
In a league where games are usually never postponed due to injury, the NFL says there's no decision on when or if the rest of the game will be played. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
And Ethan is back with one last look at tonight's weather.
And another night where fog is possible in much of the province. And we're looking for a morning temperature tomorrow in Regina at -14. Looking for some partly cloudy skies out there. And as we head toward the noon hour, those will stick around. Fog is looking to burn off. Winds, again, not going to be too strong for the day tomorrow. For Saskatoon, fog also possible for you folks. No advisories or anything like that issued yet for the province. But again, in patches, it could be possible. -12 at 8 a.m. We'll see clearing conditions throughout the day, and again, winds likely going to be staying on the fairly light side. Cold mornings, yes, but they are beautiful. Nice sunrise captured by Bob, who's always sending us great photos. This one captured just east of Saskatoon. Almost looks like a painting, Sam, so picturesque.
If people want to send you pictures, Ethan, how do they do that?
saskphotos@cbc.ca. Send them in.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And that is it from us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Glenn Reed and Ethan will be back with more local news and weather tonight at 11. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great night.